This was a unfortunate ending to a long day.
Right now at 5, an hours-long standoff has come to a fatal end. A portion of I-26 eastbound in Lexington County is still blocked off as investigators comb the scene. We have live team coverage of the standoff that SLED is now investigating. Your news at 5 starts right now.
Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
This is some brand new video that we've received showing a chase that led to a standoff off I-26 East in Lexington County this morning. That standoff with a wanted man came to a deadly end this afternoon.
What a day it was. The man has not been identified yet, but we do know he was wanted on a failure to appear in court for several other charges. SLED has confirmed to WIS it is investigating this as an officer-involved shooting.
We have a team of reporters covering this story that impacted so many of you on I-26 today. Let's begin our coverage with Chad Mills, who's live near the scene. Chad?
Well, Greg, and the scene itself still very active, as you can see behind me on the other side of I-26. That'd be I-26 eastbound on the other side. Just looking around behind me right now, SLED still out here in force. You see the investigators with their hatches open, going through evidence that they have collected here so far. Still a large part of this scene, by the way, taped off with yellow crime scene tape at this point. I want to show you some video from earlier, though, and we have a couple pieces of, I guess you could say, the highlights of this negotiation. It started with some smoke bombs when we were out here. Caught the eyes of many people, many of the drivers stuck on I-26 when we heard some of those pops and then saw smoke rise from the horizon. It was tear gas that they launched at the suspect in that car, but it was unsuccessful. It started this morning, by the way, near Swansea. That is when Lexington deputies began to chase the driver who was identified as a habitual violent offender with warrants out for his arrest, a bench warrant. The chase went through Casey, back onto I-26 eastbound, ended with the crash near Old Dunbar Road. Deputies say they approached the car, and at first they noticed the suspect with a gun to his head. They backed off, called in for more resources as they realized what they were dealing with. They say that the negotiations began pretty well, went pretty swimmingly for a couple of hours, and then they degraded and went downhill and broke down, as Sheriff Jay Kuhn said. Deputies shot at the man when he made a motion, a sudden movement inside the car, we are told. They quickly tried to give him first aid, but we are told he died in the hospital.
Negotiations were going good for several hours. Then it just kind of broke down. Our tactical team made a decision after 2.5 hours to start some tactical maneuvers, which we did. Gave this individual every opportunity to peacefully surrender. As we did our approach, he made a sudden movement in the car, and we fired some rounds to stop the threat. Immediately gave him first aid. EMS was already staged up. They transported him to a local hospital. All our officers are okay, just shooken from the ordeal, as you can imagine. You know, they put their heart and soul in this incident. It lasted several hours.
And you could definitely see the emotion from some of the armored officers when we were looking through the camera earlier today. You may have even seen a little bit of video there before that soundbite. A lot of the SWAT guys went to the middle of the interstate, kind of gave each other pats on the backs to console each other after doing what they had to do, and that is shooting to end this situation. Now, as for traffic, you see westbound toward Columbia flowing pretty nicely again. It'll slow down every now and then. Eastbound, all things considered, flowing pretty well as well. There's just one lane open here as drivers pass the scene of where all of this played out for hours earlier today. Guys.
Hey, Chad Mills live there on the scene. Thank you so much for that, Chad. We want to show again a live view from a different angle from where Chad is. This is Interstate 26, Lexington County area near exit 113. And this is the scene of what just has been a very, very long day on Interstate 26. People literally stranded on that road for hours until they could be turned around to drive back the opposite direction. But traffic is still backed up, but at least it is moving now. but it is very heavy. So you're asked to try to avoid this area. If at all possible, take a different route to get home. And the incident had caused delays and backups for everybody just all day long here. We want to show you video that we shot on the on-ramp onto the interstate near Lexington Medical Center in West Columbia earlier today. The drivers would get up on that exit, or excuse me, that entrance ramp, and they would see this massive line ahead of them on the interstate being at a standstill. So they started backing up, turning around, doing a three-point turn, turning around the other direction, and driving the wrong way to avoid the interstate. We had a crew out there capturing all of that. If you'd like a look at the current conditions anytime for these road conditions, especially right now at this moment, let's go to Kevin Arnone and get the latest, Kevin, on what's happening. I know at one time today you said backed up 10 or 11 miles.
Yeah, there was a 10-mile backup of traffic moving slower than 20 miles per hour. I do want to show you two incidents right now locally here. You can see an accident at Franklin Street, corner of Bull Street, and the next one is at 378 Sunset Boulevard over at Leap Hart Road. And now I want to focus on what's going on over at 26. So this is eastbound now. You can see westbound moving smoothly. No issues at all. I'm sure people are checking out what's going on the other side of the road, but eastbound still moving about 2 miles per hour. And I put the ruler here. It's about a 4-mile stretch of 26 that's moving about 2 miles per hour. So if you are heading that way, I would budget in a lot of extra time because of the slow moving traffic.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And as we told you earlier, this all started out as a chase, and a viewer was able to catch a part of that chase on camera. Take a look at this. You can see the truck just speeding by off of Greystone Boulevard in Columbia earlier this morning. That black truck speeding down the road, followed closely by several law enforcement vehicles. At least one of the tires in that video looks to be deflated. This, of course, was before the chase ended, before noon on I-26. Other witnesses told our Chad Mills what happened when that chase came to an end on I-26.
I mean, it was pretty surreal. I mean, as soon as we got on the interstate, we saw cop after cop after cop come flying by us, and then we came to a stop for a minute, and I think that's when they first threw the spikes down, and then the guy driving our truck said he saw a cop running with a gun, and then we proceeded on, like he said, and then came to a stop again here.
Our Caroline Hecker continues our live team coverage near mile marker 113 off of I-26 East. And Caroline, you also spoke to people who watched this all happen. Meanwhile, behind you right now, we can see pretty big backup still.
Well, this is just an absolute nightmare for any driver trying to get home tonight. Just stop and go traffic, as you can see. And it is like this in either direction as far as the eye can see. Like you said, we're near mile marker 113, which is still 1 or 2 miles away from the scene. And look at it, stop and go. It hasn't gotten any better since 4 o'clock. In fact, I think it's actually gotten worse. Now, we're told I-26 up near that scene is down to 1 lane, which may help explain a little bit of this backup. And while it is stop and go, there are times when these drivers are coming to a complete stop here, and we figure that's attributed somewhat to rush hour. Some of this is leftover traffic from earlier in the day, and like you mentioned, the heavy police presence today did catch the eye of some neighbors who live around here, and they tell me they were afraid during that standoff.
With it being so close, you know, we're used to the couple here and there, you know, we don't think nothing of it, but for it to be as loud and them to be as passing as fast as they were, you know, they last a second and then it was done, and then the second wave and the third wave, and whew.
Now, interestingly enough, we're here by the on-ramp, and cars continue to get on the interstate despite seeing that miles-long backup. They're trying to merge in. Again, like you said, please avoid this area if you can. It's only going to give you a headache on your way home tonight. We will keep you updated with the traffic conditions, but like I said, slow crawl to a stop here at about mile marker 113 on I-26 eastbound. Live in Lexington County, Caroline Hecker, WIS News 10.
All right, Caroline, thank you so much for that view from there. Let me give you another view. This is a look over the scene on Interstate 26 from Chopper 10. And you can see the police tape that was put out moments after those shots had been fired. And let me show you specifically, you've got law enforcement vehicles here, right there. That is the suspect's truck. And then this would be I-26 going eastbound. Here's your westbound lane here. And so all of this area taped off after those shots rang out from one of the law enforcement's guns. Now, the suspect's car and numerous law enforcement agency vehicles remain in that area. Again, we have confirmed the suspect is dead. Stay with WIS for continuing coverage of today's I-26 backup and standoff. We will have another live report ahead on the news at 5:30.
Let's get a check now of the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Deminis Brown standing by in the Weather Center. The warm-up has finally arrived, Deminis.
Absolutely, it's here, but before we talk about that, I want to alert you to an alert day that's been issued for Friday. We're giving you a heads up to some showers, possible thunderstorms, mainly between 3 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Friday, but we are not expecting any severe weather with this system as it moves in. We just want to give you a heads up because a lot of you will have Friday off. Holiday weekend as well. There will be some wet weather around. Courtesy of this front here is stationary up to our north and west as well. A lot of showers and thunderstorms around it. Eventually it will start showing some movement, and that will bring in some wet weather in our direction as we go into Friday. We'll talk more about that in the full forecast in a minute. But man, oh man. Temperatures, around 80 degrees right now at Columbia Metro. A little breezy at times with southwest winds around 14 miles an hour. And we're in the 80s right now in Sumter, 80 in North, about 79 degrees in Orangeburg. And still going to be pretty warm Thursday into Good Friday. We'll just see temperatures in the middle 70s. Now, we're going to talk more about that alert day and the rain that we could see on your Friday in your first alert 7-day forecast, all coming up.
All right, Deminis, sounds good. Happening today, Lexington County School District 1 will host a community symposium on gun violence. It's happening at River Bluff High School. Some of your local lawmakers, school leaders, and law enforcement officers will be there. Doors open at 6. The conversation begins at 6:30 tonight. The symposium is one of many conversations about keeping schools safe. We told you yesterday that lawmakers in the State House are considering increasing how much you pay for a gun in order to put a police officer in every South Carolina school. This new bill would add a 7% fee to the price of a handgun. Right now, about half of schools in South Carolina have at least one full-time officer. SLED says that it could cost $60 million to get the other half of schools staffed.
New on your news at 5, Sumter County deputies say they are looking for people involved in the theft of a pickup truck. We're going to show you surveillance pictures from the scene on Highway 15 South. That's on the 3200 block. This happened around 4:15 Monday morning. Deputies say the pickup truck is a gray 2002 Ford 4x4. The suspects were wearing hoodies and drove a dark-colored Toyota Camry. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. Well, 242 people in South Carolina have died from the flu. This is according to the new numbers that have been released just today from DHEC. The agency now is reporting regional activity for the upstate instead of widespread that we have been seeing the last several weeks. The Centers for Disease Control, however, is still warning of a second wave, the flu virus B. So they say it's not too late to get the flu shot.
Starting tomorrow and through the weekend, Disney on Ice is making its way to Colonial Life Arena. It's called Dream Big and centers around 8 Disney princesses. One local organization is making sure some special kids get to see that show. Sam Bleiweiss joins us with more on that. Sam?
Yeah, well, Greg, that is right. Happy Wheels is sending 3 families to Disney on Ice this weekend, and for one of those ticket deliveries, we followed along. Tracy Rankin took us along with her. She delivered 3 tickets to see Disney on Ice to 5-year-old Aurora Schmidt. Now, Tracy runs Happy Wheels, which is a nonprofit that delivers toys and books to children staying in the hospital. This delivery, though, was a special one because it was a house call for a Disney fanatic who just got back from Disney World.
Her wish was to go to Disney to meet Minnie Mouse and to ride a roller coaster, and she got to do all that, but the favorite part was just her meeting all the characters. It was a dream come true for her. It was perfect.
Now, this wasn't just any road trip to Disney World. This was Aurora's Make-A-Wish trip. We're going to tell you more about Aurora and her journey coming up on your news at 6. Greg?
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you, Sam. Still to come on your news at 5, we continue our live coverage as a suspect is shot and killed after an hours-long negotiation effort.
What we know right now is the investigation begins into this deadly shooting, and traffic at this moment just continues to crawl on the interstate.
Plus, lawmakers continuing to make efforts to lower electric rates for some customers in our state. We've got a live report from the State House where the debate just got underway moments ago.